Well, hello everyone. My name is Sarge. I'm going to be playing you some music today. This song is a cover by one of my favorite artists. His name is John Butler. He wrote this song a while back called Ocean. It's a song that what's so special about it is you never play it the same every time. And you play it with the flow of your emotions, the in and out of the tide. And so I'm going to play this song for all the stress and anxiety and craziness that's been going on in this world, and hope to bring a little peace to you today.
Mommy. Hi, Mommy.
Thanks, everyone. That was a different rendition of Ocean. I hope you all enjoyed it and it wasn't too blaring in the microphone. Yeah, if you got any questions for me or anything, just let me know. I'd be happy to answer them whenever we can. Thanks.
Well, welcome everybody. How's everyone doing? I love seeing all these faces. Yay. So welcome. I am moving some people around between panelists and attendees, trying to get all these beautiful faces on one screen. But it's just so wonderful to see all of you, and thanks so much for showing up. And thank you, Sarge, for that wonderful music to get the party started off right. Really appreciate it. I see lots of this.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Great. Well, I'm going to turn it over to Carl, who's going to get us started.
Thanks, Pauline, and thanks, Sarge, for that beautiful musical introduction. And it's great to see y'all's faces. I hope everybody's doing well this evening, and we're grateful to you for joining us for this virtual happy hour. We have lots of positive and inspiring news to share with you in this hour. We can't thank you enough for your generosity and leadership, which gives us the means to achieve our mission. So in this time together, we'll mark some of our accomplishments over this past year, including highlights of some of our land protection accomplishments from our land protection team. We'll celebrate the Stan Murray Volunteer of the Year Award. We will welcome new trustees who are going to be joining our board a little later this year. And we'll thank several trustees whose terms on our board are ending this year. We'll also celebrate with Jay Lutzy the historic passage in the Senate of the Great America Outdoors Act, which is going to be a game changer for federal funding for land conservation, helping achieve even more. Again, I want to thank Sarge and Lillian Chase for their beautiful music this evening. We want to thank New Belgium for supporting this evening. And then we also want to give a big thanks to Wicked Weed. Wicked Weed is making a very generous matching gift for the month of June. So we thank all of you who've already contributed to SHC to leverage that. But if you haven't already, please consider making a gift. So I think that many of us on this call this evening love SHC because it has always been an innovative and relevant organization. Throughout our history, we have innovated in order to overcome and achieve seemingly intractable problems. And that was true when our visionary founders created one of the nation's first long-term conservation landscape plans to protect the Highlands of Rhone. They created the script rather than following a script. And so ever since then, we at SHC, that's been a guiding principle for us. So all of our staff, our AmeriCorps and our interns have shown heroic innovation and creativity and flexibility these past several months during the pandemic. And supporting everyone on our staff and on our boards, health and well-being is really a priority of us at SHC. We've adjusted to implementing SHC's mission by working remotely. We've ramped up our use of technology like this evening, and we kept in touch with one another by phone and computer. We followed the Land Trust Alliance guidance for stewarding land and conservation easements during the pandemic. We've been in regular touch with our finance committee of the board, creating contingency budget plans in case revenue doesn't come in or falls short over the coming months. But we've also worked very hard to maintain the momentum of our fundraising. And we applied for a PPP loan through First Bank. So we've also created virtual experiences to try to keep in touch with you guys and our members during this time. And so I want to encourage everyone on the call this evening to give our virtual experiences a call and to share the links with your friends if you know folks who may want to give them a try. And so check out The Summer Night Sky with Bernie Arguieri, Movement in Nature with Lauren McTighe, Gray's Lily Update with Cindy Barrett, and Botanical Exploration with renowned botanist Gary Kaufman and Marquette Crockett. So I said that SHC is innovative and relevant. So relevance. Our mountains in this region are so species rich, and they provide such crucial corridors for movement of wildlife and plant species in the eastern United States, and headwaters of rivers that supply water throughout the Southeast. Whatever this organization does to try to mitigate the negative effects of the warming climate is doubly, triply, especially important. SHC protects the best of the best from being converted into real estate, and then we responsibly steward those properties for the future. So in the last 12 months, we have closed on 28 new land and conservation easement acquisitions and assists to public agencies. Those transactions have conserved just under 3,500 more acres of intact forests, high elevation ridgelines, watersheds, and productive farmland. So I'll just repeat that. 12 months, 28 real estate closings, almost 3,500 acres. This includes 10 major acquisitions in our flagship project area of the Highlands of Rhone, protecting 1,135 more acres of sensitive habitat in the Rhone. And so in a few minutes, Michelle will tell you about one of these transactions in which we simultaneously purchased 32 separate parcels. And you can imagine the complexity of a transaction like that. So these aren't just acres. Last month, Marquette, Sarah, Travis, and others on our stewardship team did migratory songbird counts on several of these new properties that we purchased in the Rhone. And they found golden-winged warblers and so many other rare and endangered songbirds on the very locations that we had just purchased for protection. So those places will be protected forever now. In addition, continuing with relevance, we're relevant for the farmland for sustainable local food production that we protect. We purchased 5 farms and conservation easements in the last 12 months that are used primarily for agriculture, and then 3 other properties with incidental agricultural use happening there. And in a few minutes, Jess will share a story of one of our most recent farmland preservation conservation easements. We're also relevant for supporting sustainable agriculture with our programming at our community farm, which includes a beginning farmer incubator and educational workshop series. Relevant for our outreach work with schools and after school programs, connecting young people with nature and agriculture. This is our best hope for the future. We're also relevant for helping to create public parks, like the new Chestnut Mountain Park near Canton and Pisgah View Park, for people to get outdoors for our health and well-being. These are very long-term projects. They'll take years to bring to fruition, but it's definitely worth the effort. And in a few minutes, Hani will tell you more about the Chestnut Mountain Project. We're relevant by committing to deep, meaningful action to bring about equity and inclusion in conservation, to address structural racism, and make sure that all people can safely enjoy and engage in nature. Relevant also by amplifying our efforts to connect people with land and nature in order to spark their sense of kinship. We're engaging people in facets of their lives that are most important to them, like their wedding or other family events, when they'll make indelible memories that they'll carry with them throughout their lives. We do this on purpose to weave our commitment to the natural world into people's precious memories. So SHC members and leaders, it's you who make it possible for all this to happen, and we're grateful to you, so thank you. Now I'm pleased to introduce SHC's land protection team, Michelle Pugliese, Jess Lagas, and Hani Muter, to tell you a little bit more about some projects we've accomplished recently.
Thanks, Carl. Well, I wanted to start off by, and I think that Pauline is going to share her screen. We've got some presentations that we're going to share with you. And I just wanted to start off by acknowledging that all of the lands that we're talking about today that we've protected were formerly part of the Cherokee Band, the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians. So I just wanted to acknowledge the native lands that we're talking about. So we're going to start off with Jess talking about one of our farmland acquisitions.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for that acknowledgement. Thank you all for being here. And I'm really excited to share with you this evening a project that we have been calling Bowditch Bottoms. This was a farmland project that began in 2014 and is hot off the conservation presses, just closed on Monday. So it was a very long time coming, high degree of complexity. And I'm going to start off just showing you where we are. You can see the red property being called out. This is the project that we've protected. It's a about 87 acres near Micaville. We're in Yancey County, just off of Highway 80. And I keep moving my mouse thinking you can see it, but you can't. We are looking, when you're on the property, you have beautiful views of Silo Knob and the Silo Range right at the foothills of the Black Mountains on the northern side. And I've got another map to show you. If you could progress the slide, Pauline, thank you. This is an aerial just showing you what we're looking at on the property. This is really typical of our mountain farms. You've got on the eastern side, low bottomlands with incredibly fertile soils. And then on the left, the western side, thanks, Pauline, a forested slope. And so these mountain farms provide great water quality protection as well as some habitat. And then protecting, on the next slide, our rare prime agricultural soils. In the mountains, it's only our bottomlands that have soils like this that are super fruitful for agricultural production. And this farm had a high concentration of these soils. But this farm is unique for a lot of reasons. The landowners purchased this farm for the express purpose of providing agricultural land to farmers who couldn't otherwise afford it. They were philanthropists, Ken and Ida Brown. They purchased the farm with SHC's assistance in finding the property. And they have entered into a 10-year lease with an organization called Tractor, which is the Tow River, oh gosh, I'm gonna forget at the moment, I don't have it in front of me. Agricultural, I'm sorry, Carl, if you know it, you could jump in, but sorry?
It's a food hub.
It is a food hub. And so what they are doing is managing the land and hosting, I think at the moment there are 5 farmers there, but there may be more, who are producing crops on the land, and then at the food hub they're redistributed. So it's sort of as if there were one farm but multiple farmers using the land. So we were really excited to be a part of this transaction. If you could progress the slide, Pauline, I've got some photos of the land for you. So this is Silo Knob in the background of the fertile ground. This was before Tractor broke ground to till and create row crops here. If you could progress again. Oh, I love this. Oh, one too many. I love the previous picture because the man planting that cucurbit that could be a zucchini plant his name is Drew Zucchino, and he was born for the job of ED now of Tractor. And so this is just a photo of them planting on the land. This is a picture of Ailes Creek, which runs through the property. So demonstrating the water quality protection that this land remaining open as opposed to becoming a housing development and all the sedimentation that's created from developing these open spaces is prevented. And if you could progress again, got lovely photos here. Pauline's been partnering with our Carolina Mountain, oh sorry, not Carolina Mountain, nature photographers, and they have gone out to a number of our properties to take these gorgeous photos that we're then able to share with our members to help you experience these places that we're protecting. And this is a great photo of those fertile soils that we mentioned. So we're really excited about the protection on this land. It's a unique opportunity for us to be partnering with Tractor and philanthropists that have then used the funds from the proceeds of this easement purchase to purchase more land that Tractor is also associated with in the county. So we love seeing land protected for agriculture and then seeing farmers and producers on that land helping create food resilience, especially in times like COVID. Thank you.
Thank you, Jess. Next up, we'll have learn more about the Chestnut Mountain Project from Connie.
Thank you, and hi everybody. And just this month on June 5th, we closed on an exciting new project in Haywood County, just over the Buncombe line. And so there's a national trend with land trusts to try to do more projects that both protect conservation values as well as are a real asset to the community in innovative ways with innovative partnerships. The SAHC has been working on innovative community projects since the 60s and 70s when we started protecting land for public enjoyment on their own. This is another example of conservation and conservation-based recreation working together within a community for the benefit of animals, plants, and people. Next slide. Located a mile east of Canton, between Canton and Asheville on Highway 1923 and minutes away from Interstate 40, this property is an ideal location for both conservation and recreation. We first noticed this tract because it was on the market and because it was one of the largest privately owned tracts left in Haywood County at 448 acres. There's not many that size anymore. It especially caught our eye because it sits on an important wildlife corridor, which is in pink. Animals love to move on ridgelines, and a ridgeline runs all the way on the county line from Mount Pisgah at the bottom of your screen, all the way up eventually to Max Patch on the Appalachian Trail. We look at it as our job to protect these large anchors in the landscape for wildlife movement when there are willing sellers. Next slide, please. Furthermore, the tract is also directly on the main conceptual Hellbender Greenway path connecting municipalities in the Asheville metropolitan region. So this connects 4 different counties, I believe, this conceptual trail system. We thought to ourselves, could this tract be an anchor destination for this planned greenway, a place for future greenway users, or a nearby place for residents of Haywood and Buncombe County to easily step into the woods from their homes for a forested respite? SAHC began discussions with the town of Canton and Haywood County soon after we learned the property was on the market to ask if this property and potentially making it available for trails and conservation-based public recreation would be welcome and needed by the community. And we were met with an enthusiastic yes about the project and the opportunity. Next slide, Pauline, please. And you can click forward just to look at pretty pictures until we hit the survey slide, and you can pause there. So the property boasts 448 acres of conservation value, 9 miles of stream, lots of signs of wildlife. These right here on this slide was all the wildlife we saw in just 1 hour, all the track signs. And some significant plant species for natural heritage. After we finished raising final project funds and placed permanent conservation easements on the property, SAHC will fully gift the property to the town of Canton and Haywood County for a conservation-based public park. Next slide, please. And then next slide. We encourage anyone who thinks they might like to visit this park someday to help provide input on what conservation-based features you'd like to see here, whether you would like to see shorter trails, longer trails, picnicking, etc. This park will be shaped by the community. And you can visit the survey. It's cut off a little on my screen, but it's the Town of Canton website, cantonnc.com. Next slide, please. Thank you. The pressure from Asheville growth is mounting and expanding outward. Our job as a land trust is to try to predict and secure property in these areas of high development pressure for future generations to enjoy and wildlife to live on. We can work now to protect these large pieces while they are still intact and their price is relatively low, to secure spots for people to enjoy and animals to move. Or we can wait to try to piece together more fragmented tracts when in 10 or 20 years, maybe we feel the development pressure even more acutely, but land prices are higher and the larger tracts are gone and need to be pieced together. This is happening in the Triangle area and in Charlotte, where they are realizing they need to protect even more spaces for nearby parks and natural resources close to population centers, but the land is already pretty fragmented and expensive. That is taking a lot of resources and creativity to piece together parcels for conservation. With this large tract, we're so grateful that so many partners wanted to make the former, or to make this project happen now when we have the opportunity. Thank you to all the funders and partners who made it happen. You, SAHC members, donors who have contributed specifically to this project, Brad and Shelley Standback, the North Carolina Clean Water Management Trust Fund, the Pigeon River Fund, the Department of Justice, and to the seller, who instead of taking a higher offer from a rock resource extraction company at the same time we put in our offer to purchase, which would have drastically changed the landscape, the seller said no, they wanted to sell for conservation. And they donated a significant amount of property value by selling at a lower price. We can't wait to get you all out on these future trails. Thank you.
Thank you, Hani. And now we'll hear from Michelle, who will share the story of a major project in the Rhone.
Thanks, Carl. So I'm going to talk about the Yellow Mountain Connector project. And last year we purchased 456 acres in the Highlands of Rhone. And this was no ordinary acquisition for our team. It consisted of 32 separate parcels of land that were all owned by the same person. And we purchased all of those separate tracts in 2 transactions. And it took us about 3 years and more than a few gray hairs for all of the people working to resolve a host of legal issues and title issues. And it resulted in protection of high elevation ridge lines, a variety of wildlife habitat, pristine trout streams, and scenic views from the Appalachian Trail and other places along the Highlands of Rhone. Next slide, Pauline. So about an hour and a half northeast of Asheville is the Highlands of Rhone, and here's a contextual map on the right side of your screen. Everything in green is the National Forest. On the north side, you have Cherokee National Forest, and on the south side, you've got Pisgah National Forest. And the Appalachian Trail in white runs right along the North Carolina-Tennessee boundary. And that's where those beautiful grassy balds are that everybody loves to visit and see. Then perpendicular to the south, where the yellow tracts are, that whole area is the Yellow Mountain State Natural Area, running along the Avery and Mitchell County lines. Everything in yellow is land that SAHC has purchased and then transferred to the state of North Carolina to add to that state natural area. And everything in blue and teal are lands that we own or protect in other ways. And so the Yellow Mountain Connector properties are outlined here in black. And these are major connectivity parcels to establish connections along that ridge line from these sort of blocks of protected lands that you can see. The Highlands of Rhone is globally significant for its biodiversity, and within 5 miles of the properties that we protected here, there are 13 state designated natural heritage areas. Also, Audubon Society's Roan Mountain Important Bird Area overlies all of these tracts. There's over 5 miles of trout streams protected on these lands, and we would not have been able to do any of this without a grant from North Carolina's Clean Water Management Trust Fund, the support of the North Carolina Parks and Recreation, Division of Parks and Recreation, a generous contribution from the Standback family, and also a donation in value from the sellers. So this Google Earth imagery shows how these parcels lie across the landscape. So again, they're outlined in white, and you can see a little more clearly how these parcels really are establishing that connection along the ridgeline. And Pauline, if you can hover your mouse directly northwest of the lower red block, that area, and it's sort of down, and then to the east. Yeah. Well, anyway, there is a residential subdivision that we were able to purchase a number of undeveloped lots in there. And the next slide is taken on the boundary of that subdivisions. You can go on the next slide. So yeah, the one with the water. Nope, previous slide, sorry. Previous. There you go. The water with the waterfall picture. So I mentioned 5 miles of trout streams are protected throughout this property, and these include headwater streams, tributaries of the Cane Creek, and tributaries of the North Toe River, which are known for some rare species such as the Appalachian elk toe mussel. Okay, now we can go to the next slide. So I'm just going to kind of walk you through a couple of places, and click it once more, and there you'll see an arrow come up. So I'm going to show you a picture that is a view from a high elevation point looking out across this land in teal, which has we have protected subject to a life estate, and then you'll be able to see sort of the upper reaches of the valley that we've protected. Next slide. So here we are at 4,500 feet elevation, and just go back to that overview slide. So yeah, we're at 4,500 feet elevation, that overview point, if you can go back a little bit. And one of the things that is special, here we go. So we can see the life estate property is kind of on the right, and then at the upper reaches of the valley, that's one of the properties to be protected. And one of the habitat types that's interesting here is that on the very steep, inaccessible areas, there are a few pockets of old growth forest, which is pretty rare in the southern Appalachian Mountains where everything was logged previously. So now we can go on to the next one. And yep, so then we're going to look at another habitat type, looking from sort of the top of that life estate property. This is great. And so this is early successional forest habitat that we've protected. And what we've protected is basically the left side of this meadow. And it is an old meadow that is now growing back into a forest. So that early successional habitat is really important for migratory birds, including the golden-winged warbler, which is a significantly rare species. The land to the right is a priority tract that we want to protect in the future. And you're looking in the distance at the Roan Highlands, the Appalachian Trail, and those grassy balds. So next slide. So now the last picture I'm going to show you, we're going to be looking sort of down south across the ridge line of the Cane Creek Mountains. And you can go now to that photo. And so we have protected basically this whole ridge line and some of the land on either side of it through this acquisition. And I do want to acknowledge, I know Dennis Oakley is here with us today, and I'm grateful for Dennis and South Wings for having taken these aerial photos for us. So this project was a massive undertaking for our team and our state partners. We're going to own this land for about 10 to 15 years, and then we're going to transfer it to the state to become formally part of the Yellow Mountain State Natural Area. So, and that's all I have for that. Yay!
Carl, why don't you go ahead and unmute yourself?
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
Thanks for the heads up. And I was just saying that the pride that I feel and our team feels in those accomplishments, I suspect that all of you share it as well. It's really inspiring and beneficial for our community, protecting properties like these. This is the part of our program where we want to recognize our 2020 Stanley Murray Volunteer of the Year. And since 1989, SHC has given the Stanley A. Murray Award for Volunteer Service. It honors persons who have made outstanding volunteer contributions to the work of SHC, emulating the lifelong dedication of our founder, Stanley Murray. We're pleased this year to present the award to the Carolina Nature Photographers Association, CNPA, for the work of its Asheville Regional Conservation Committee. And over the last 2 years, these photographers have graciously donated their time and their expertise and talent to capture stunning images of many SAHC conservation properties. CNPA has joined us on multiple excursions to photograph SHC's community farm, our conservation easements and preserves in the Rhone, Sandy Mush, Swannanoa, and on South Wings flights to capture aerial views of our conservation properties. These images by the CNPA photographers help SHC in many, many ways. Just a few highlights: applying for major grants to help protect more important sites, presenting funding requests to major donors to support our work in land protection, and of course, communicating about our accomplishments with the public through press and social media. We're deeply grateful for the committee's work, and we're pleased that Mike Pittman and Cortland White have joined us this evening to accept the award on behalf of CNPA. So I want to invite Mike and Cortland to say a few words if they're up for it.
Okay, I'm Cortland White. I'm the current, hello, everybody. I'm the current co-chair of the Conservation Committee of CNPA. And I want to first thank, of all people, Dennis Oakley, who was the chairman of the overall group and then became the start of the Conservation Committee. CNPA is, Asheville is one of 13 groups regionally in South and North Carolina. And we're the first to do something like this, as far as I'm aware. And I'm hoping that we'll go on beyond this, and other CNPA groups will work with other land trust groups. So I think this will be a model that maybe other CNPA regional groups might emulate. There's lots and lots of people I'd like to specifically mention, but I'm not going to do that for fear of leaving someone out. But we've had a great time working with Pauline. It's fun to do what we want to do anyway. We enjoy taking pictures for the fun of it. And now to get those pictures off our hard drives and onto some publication that can be actually beneficial and move things forward. We have very much overlapping statements of purpose. Both our organizations are almost the same statement, same goals, and we just, it's been proud opportunity to work with you.
Thank you, Cortland. We have many, many more properties to share with you that we'd like to tell people about. So I hope that our partnership in photography can continue for years to come.
I'm sure. Well, we had an ambitious set of outings planned before the events changed. So we're looking forward to getting back into the field with you as soon as we can.
Too.
I'm
Well, thank
so
you
lucky.
very much.
I'm so lucky I had the pleasure of escorting so many of these fine folks to places to take photographers, and I couldn't think of a better group to give this award to. You all are amazing. Your photos are outstanding, and we're just so grateful for all the hard work. I know it's not just going out and taking a photo. It's downloading it, editing it, trying to figure out which shot is the best one, and you all are just amazing. So thank you so very much. And congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, and we're grateful. I'd like to introduce Laura McHugh now, president of our board, and Laura is going to welcome trustees who will be joining the board a little later this year.
Thank you, Carl. I'm happy to be able to do this. We're bringing on 4 new fantastic board members, and I'd like to tell you just a little bit about them. They're about to enter into a great experience that I have enjoyed for many years. The first is Pam Kelly. Pam is from Kingsport, and she retired from Eastman about a year ago, and she served as Director of Global Credit. So her expertise and experience is in the accounting and credit management division. So Pam's an avid hiker, and she has enjoyed going on many SAHC events. I know most of you probably know that we offer a lot of hiking events, and Pam has joined us on many. So we're so glad to have her as a board member. We also want to welcome back Joe Deloach. I have served with Joe before. Joe's from Jonesboro and one of the longtime passionate SAHC members, and I know everybody's excited about having him back. He's been a leader, in fact, has served as president of this board. He served back in the 1990s and in the 2000s, which is when I met him. And he serves as a technology fellow at Eastman. So Joe has just got some real heart for this organization, and I know he's gonna be great. We also want to welcome Larry Pender. Larry is from Hendersonville, and he's retired from NYU, where he served as an administrator. And Larry and his partner, Tanya Cummings, have founded Pathways to Parks, which you may have heard about. We're very excited about it. They founded it a couple of years ago, and it's to encourage and to support inclusivity and access for all people to enjoy hiking and other outdoor recreation. So connecting people with land is part of our mission, and what Larry and his partner are doing is wonderful. So Larry does go on a lot of hikes, and he goes on a lot of outings and volunteers to work, and he's just been really dedicated in supporting our mission. So we're really glad to have him on the board. And then also we have a good friend of mine, Miranda, known as Randy Hunter. Randy is from Flat Rock, and she's a longtime leader of the French Broad River Garden Club, of which I'm a member. And I know personally that Randy is an expert on plants and gardening. If you want to know what a plant is, Randy can answer that question. Very importantly, Randy recently led a committee that spent many long hours in working towards the nomination of SAHC to receive the Cynthia Pratt Laughlin Award from the Garden Club of America. And she shepherded the committee through the work and secured the nomination and the award. So we are so excited to be able to have achieved that for SAHC. So I've never worked on a board that as wonderful as this one, and they're going to have a great time serving on it, and we're glad to have them. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. And now I would like to introduce Matt Moses, who serves on our board and is on our executive committee. And Matt will recognize some of our trustees who've served the organization.
Thank you, Carl. And it is wonderful to see everybody. We're just so thankful to have so many great people involved in this organization, and it's quite humbling to be able to spend time with so many of you. I get the honor of saying a really hard goodbye to these folks that we've spent a lot of time with, and while we all do this to enjoy the outdoors, we spend a lot of indoor time working hard on this with some great leadership from Laura McHugh. Amazing job. It's been beyond a pleasure to work with you. And certainly Rick Mansky, wow, I've learned so much from you, and just really thankful for the time that we've had together personally, professionally, and helping SAHC move forward and continue to do their great work. John Mason, really was a pleasure. You will be sorely missed, and expect to see you at many events in the future. Certainly hoping for that. And David Irwin, just what an amazing group of people. What a privilege it's been to work with all of you. And I've learned so much from you myself. I've witnessed others learning from you, but the amount of time, effort, and energy that you have all given to all of the great things that SAHC does and accomplishes is beyond worthy of note. You will be missed. We hope and kind of expect to see you at some future events. So it's a goodbye from the board, but we look forward to seeing you in the future. And as you do look back on your time with us, just really hope that you understand that the achievements that have been accomplished, you had a big hand in them. So very humbly, we say thank you. Thank you so much.
Love you guys.
And thank you, SHC board. We love you guys. So on our agenda right now, we have saved some time for conservation hero, Jay Lutzy, who I talked to a little earlier. He was driving down I-81 coming back from Washington, D.C., and I was kind of wondering to myself, how is Jay going to make it there to be on this Zoom happy hour?
Well, the good news is, Carl, I just gave him permission to talk. So if he is on the phone,
oh, okay.
I do believe he's allowed to talk. We may not see him. But Jay, can you hear us? Can you talk?
I hear you. I hear you clearly. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me, Pauline?
I can hear you. Can everyone else hear him?
Yep.
Okay.
Hi, Jay.
Yes, yes.
Great, great.
Can you turn it up just a little bit?
Yeah. I wish I could see your faces. But as Carl said, I'm driving down from Washington, and yesterday was truly a historic day for land conservation in America. For me personally, the journey towards Senate passage of the Land and Water Conservation Fund started when Carl asked me to go to Washington in 2007 to work on our Rocky Fork project. We had just held hands with the Conservation Fund and jumped off a $40 million cliff. But as you know, because you are friends of this organization, nothing stops us when we focus on our priorities. And Rocky Fork was the largest piece of privately owned land left in the southern Appalachian Mountains. And we took a big risk to train our entire organization on making that project work. And it was recognized at the federal level. It became the #1 ranked project in the United States of America for takeout by the Forest Service. The funds came out of this, obscure to many, fund called the Land and Water Conservation Fund. And it's never had enough money in it. It's supposed to get $900 million a year, but the Congress continued for decades to rob money out of that fund for other purposes. So we embarked on an effort with partners to fix that fund, and we used Rocky Fork as Exhibit A. It took us 6 years to raise the federal dollars to transfer Rocky Fork to Cherokee National Forest, and we've used that story over and over with members of Congress to show that that program is broken. The national organization that was formed to create the campaign, the Land and Water Conservation Fund, is made up of 871 groups who just signed a letter, groups from across the country, urging the Congress to fix this broken program. Of those 871 national groups, there are 5 on the executive committee of that coalition, and you've probably heard of some of them. They are the Open Space Institute. They are Outdoors America, the Nature Conservancy, the Wilderness Society, and a little group called Southern Appalachian Highlands Conservancy. Those are the 5 lead groups in the country that have pushed for this fix. And yesterday, by a vote of 73 to 25 in the United States Senate, the bill passed. It is...
Cheers to that.
It's worth raising a glass. It's worth having toasts. I wish our work were done. Now the bill heads to the House of Representatives. But I will tell you, we were told every step along the way that you will never get through the United States Senate because of their arcane rules on budgeting, you will never, ever solve the problem of a budget point of order in the Senate. And we solved that problem on Monday with a lopsided vote, and we made it through final passage yesterday. So I want to thank all the trustees for SAHC that have supported this effort. You made it possible. Matt Moses, Laura McHugh, your trips to Washington, D.C., Leslie Cass, a former board member, Kathy Singleton, a former board member who traveled to Washington, D.C. to talk to Senator Alexander and Senator Burr, Senator Dole back in the day. So we did this together. It's really exciting. Carl taught me what the Land and Water Conservation Fund is. He was working on it before I was even working in conservation. So this is a victory that SAHC can be very proud of. And most of all, this is a victory that we can use to spend more money in our landscape to fix those in-holdings into every project except the farmland project that has another federal source of dollars. But the projects that we're discussing being successful on, they all use this funding source, and it is about to double. And that is good news.
Everybody's clapping, Jay. You should see this board. They're going crazy.
Jay, I wish you could be here to see it. It's a ticker tape parade for you.
Thank you, Jay, for all of your work.
Well, I understand that this is being recorded, so I look forward to watching it later.
We love you, Jay.
We love you, and we
Love
thank
you,
you.
Jay.
Thanks for letting me do what I love.
Thanks for doing what you love, Jay, and doing it soil.
And there's a lot more of
Thank
it to
you,
be
Joe
done.
Deloach. Thank you, Joe Deloach, for focusing on this a long time ago.
Well, we're grateful to all of you. It's very moving to see more than 70 participants on a Zoom call to discuss our work. We're really, that support is a powerful motivator for us to go out and do even more. We're going to wrap up with some music, beautiful music from the Chase sisters, Lillian Chase. And before we get started with the music, we did want to open up if any of you have a question that you want to ask about what we're doing or how we're doing it. We're happy to take a shot at answering anything you might want to ask us.
So those with video, you can unmute and ask a question live, or if you want to type something in the chat. But if there's anything you want to ask or anything you're curious about.
What was the name of the funding program again? It's
a federal program called the Land and Water Conservation Fund. The primary source of the money in the fund is royalties that oil companies pay to the federal government for offshore oil drilling. In 1964, when the government began to allow offshore oil drilling, since that's a resource that belongs to all of us, the intercontinental shelf, the Congress required that in order for them to get permits to do that, that they would have to pay royalties that would then be used for this Land and Water Conservation Fund to help buy parks and forest lands. There's even a stateside portion of the Land and Water Conservation Fund that makes soccer fields and swimming pools in communities. And we hope that all of that will be able to redouble our efforts when this funding source is assured for the purpose that it was originally created. What happened is over decades, the dollars were diverted from the intended use. But now, thanks to what's happening in Congress, they'll be earmarked for the purpose that was originally intended.
Wonderful. Haywood Waterways will be interested in that too.
Yes, we would love to partner with Haywood Waterways to make sure that good projects happen in Haywood County.
Good.
Anyone else have, now's your shot. You can ask us anything. All right, I'm gonna take that as a sign that you all wanna hear some more music. If you do have any more questions, feel free to type it again in the chat. And I can't tell you how this just warms my heart, and I know all of us at SHC, how grateful we are for you for showing up, for supporting our work. We have a lot more to do, but let's celebrate what we've done. And again, thank you so much. So with that, let's take it away with Lillian and her sister. Where are you all? I'm gonna make sure you guys.
We're good.
Oh, good.
Okay. This
Good to see
tune
you
is
all.
called Chips and Salt. Yeah,
Good
good
to
to
see
see
you
you too. Okay, ready? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh yeah, that was Chips and Sauce. Oh yeah, and it's by Ira Bernstein, who lives in Asheville.
Yes, that's true.
Uh-huh.
And next we're gonna play a tune called Sandy Boys. Yeah.
Yep. Smoky Hole. Okay. Do that. This one is called Smoky Hole, and Cernal actually learned it at a virtual camp a little earlier on in quarantine, but it's pretty fun. Okay, should we do one more? Yeah? Yeah. Do you wanna do what's Jake's got a bellyache? Yeah, Yeah. let's do that one. Are you in the right tuning? Yeah. Yeah? Okay. This one's called Jake's Got a Bellyache.
amazing. Thank you so much. Can you all
Thank
introduce
you.
yourselves again?
Yes. Yes. I'm Lillian Chase. This is my sister Sarah Nell.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank
That
you,
was
Lillian and Sharonelle.
such a treat. Thank you all so much for showing up.
Oh yeah. Oh, we're happy to do it, and we really enjoyed hearing all about the projects you guys have going on as well. So.
Well, you guys are the future, so.
Oh, thanks.
So this officially ends our first ever virtual June Jamboree celebration. Again, from all of us at SHC, thank you for showing up. Thank you for your support. We love each and every single one of you so much, and we miss you. So we look forward to the time when we can all meet again in person. Really appreciate it.
Y'all are wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, Pugliese family.
Thank you, Pugliese family.
So good. Thank you.